in Polk County. I know for most of the county it's just rain right now. That wind's not so bad, so I know some folks may be just picking up some last-minute items. Be aware we have that tornado warning out there now through central Polk County, central eastern Polk County, now approaching Haines City. Of course, I'm joined by Chief Meteorologist Mike Clay once again, keeping a close eye on everything out there. And it looks like you have maybe an image of funnel cloud or the tornado perhaps from earlier.
Look at this. This is crazy. And I know a lot of people listening on the radio, so I have to describe this. But this is a picture we just got in. This is from Evans and Lake Placid, showing a large Plains State-like tornado in the Lake Placid area a short time ago. So this is the one, we wanted to show this to you. This is the one that Kyle's been talking about. So you folks in Polk County, this has been coming up your way. But again, trying to describe it for our listeners, just an enormous tornado, wedge-type tornado on the ground that we don't often see with tropical systems. And the problem is the system is a hybrid now. It's becoming non-tropical in many ways. So it's transitioning. So it's able to produce in the warm, humid air these enormous tornadoes. And there have been several of them, one of them in Osceola County right now, over central sections where the atmosphere is more unstable. And that's where we've gotten these big tornadoes to pop up. So you can see the tornado warnings by the dozen here across central Florida. It's more unstable here, but when you go up towards the Bay Area, it is more stable and rainy. And so these tornado cells are not a problem across the Bay Area and back up over towards Haines City. We'll go back to Kyle in a second and give him more information on that storm in Haines City that also could produce a tornado. And we want to take a wide view here of Clystron 9. There is the center. There's a little lightning in it right now. We're putting the dots on the center location. Coming up to here is the last dot. And so you can see the movement. You don't need the advisories or the official updates. Just watch the movement on our radar. You can see the eye is open to the south, and that's great news because the wind shear is taking over this once Category 5 hurricane. All right, one more look at this tornado in portions of central Polk County around Lake Placid, and that is a very damaging, probably higher than an EF1 tornado, maybe EF2 or 3 across central portions of Polk County a short time ago. And so those warnings have been continued up into eastern portions of Polk County. So Kyle, I wanted to jump in here and just let you see that picture. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is certainly, Mike. And that was the same cell that's now up in Polk County currently. So impressive to see here. With a hurricane. Again, we haven't seen tropical systems like this recently, at least for us, producing tornadoes like this so far today. So not a good sign to see. Of course, that warning continues out there for eastern Polk County, Haines City. Also, we have a new warning that has been issued that does include that area of southern Polk County. Once again, you previously had a tornado warning, and now you're getting another. And you can see here pretty much, I want to show you this. Look at Highlands County. Highlands County is pretty much just covered in tornado warnings at this point. A lot of them are, of course, from the same cell and they have yet to expire, but this is just impressive. You can see there in Highlands County, a lot of the county pretty much just covered in a tornado warning at this point. So we're going to have to watch this area right here, south of Sebring. And then another area that's down here in the southern part of Highlands County, moving north. So this is just a train of tornadoes at this point. So certainly something that we don't like to see. I'll put another track on this one that's down here to the south of Sebring. This is, for the most part, the more impressive cell that we're seeing at this point in terms of rotation. At about 3 o'clock, so taking this out about a half hour at this point, right now 2:30. About 3 o'clock, you can see here, it'll be right on that Polk County line. So moving into Polk County at 3, we'll have to watch that if this continues on this trend. It has shown some strong rotation in that area, and of course we have a history of actually confirming tornadoes with this hurricane, with Hurricane Milton. It's not something you see with every tropical system. We didn't see that with Debbie. We didn't see that with Helene. This system, Milton, certainly different when it comes to that tornado threat. Now, in terms of the rain, you can see here. Again, you know that this is a weakening hurricane, at least in terms of the max sustained winds from the center. Now you get that dry air. You get that dry air kind of on the backside here. You can see that eye is kind of open, although you can see a little spot in the south side of that eye of rain there, maybe trying to work its way together. But otherwise, a dry slot of air. You can see here from Fort Myers up into Bradenton. So that shows that that shear is getting into it and kind of making the system a little bit more lopsided. So once this comes through, you have that dry air coming in on the backside of the system. You're going to see a much weaker backside to this as this comes through. So again, we expect landfall tonight between about 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And we're looking at this system weakening as it moves across Florida thanks to that shear that's off towards the west.
Flash flood warning for Pinellas.
Looks like we have, yes, it is, thank you, Mallory. We have a flash flood warning that just got issued for Pinellas County. So that's another thing that we have to watch as well. So it's been raining very heavily most of the day so far in Pinellas County. You can see here pretty much the entire county, all of Pinellas County, now under a flash flood warning. So when I get to that too, you can see the heavy rain from southern Pinellas to central Pinellas here. Of course, we've had a very wet year. We had a very wet summer. The wettest rainy season actually on record for Tampa, believe it or not. It was the wettest June to September we have seen in Tampa since records began. So very wet summer. We've had 2 hurricanes, at least impacts from 2 hurricanes, and a lot of rain from them. From Debbie. Debbie produced a lot of rain. Helene not as much, and now we have Milton, which is going to be closer to Debbie in terms of the amount of rain that it will produce. And then you also, on top of that, have the wind that's much stronger. But you can see here, flash flood warning now in place for pretty much all of Pinellas County. So you don't have to be right near the water in Pinellas County to see some flooding. This is rain coming down on you. So this has nothing to do with your evacuation zone. This has to do with whether or not you're just relatively low lying. You could be at 30 feet above sea level and everyone else around you is at 40 feet and the land around you is at 40 feet and that water is just going to come down into it. So that's something that kind of caught people off guard during Debbie. You know, over in Lakewood Ranch, you're never going to see storm surge. But Lakewood Ranch saw a whole lot of flooding with Debbie back in August because of the rain. You get 16 inches of rain, you're going to flood. And that's what we're seeing right now. We haven't seen that much rain in Pinellas County, but I can go over here and I can show you some of the radar estimates. We can look back at the last 24 hours. Let's see if we can get that up here. You can see, can query some spots on the map, about almost 5 inches in St. Pete, about 3.5 inches over in around the Clearwater area, southeastern side of Clearwater. So a good 3 to 5 inches of rain across Pinellas County, and most of this has been in a short period of time. And Pinellas is the most densely populated county in the state of Florida. So you have all those roads, you have a lot of concrete over an area that a long time ago was not a lot of concrete, and now that water's going to go somewhere, and that water does not drain well in a very urban environment like Pinellas County. So you have flash flood warning. That is going to go until 5:30. And we're probably not going to even see the situation improve much beyond that because we're going to continue to see some of the strongest bands on the north side of Milton come through Pinellas County and Hillsborough County as well. So I do expect some of these heavier rainfall totals that we have seen over Pinellas County to start to spread north and east as Milton continues on its path towards the northeast at this point. I'll take a look at the, I'll take a look back closer to Milton now and see how its movement's going over the last hour here. So you can see here, that eye actually looks like it's trying to get back together, maybe trying to organize a little bit better here, but you know, it probably isn't going to be too successful at that with that shear coming in here from the west. You can still see the southwestern part of that eye is pretty much all wide open, and you can see there's pretty much no rain on the southwest side. So once this makes landfall tonight, at that landfall point and it moves off towards the east, you might see a little bit of rain beyond that, but generally it's not going to be too much, especially towards the south. once this makes landfall, places like Sarasota and farther south of there, you're not really going to see any more rain, but the wind will probably continue as well. And again, you can just see here, we're gonna pause this and we're gonna show you all of these tornado warnings. Right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tornado warnings, basically extending from the Everglades all the way up to almost the Orlando area, all the way up to Polk County. This is pretty impressive. You know, we do get some hurricanes like that sometimes. Some hurricanes produce a lot of tornadoes. You get a lot of tornado warnings. Some not as much, or you get a lot of tornado warnings and they don't verify. But a lot more than usual are verifying with this particular storm. I'm going to zoom in back a little bit closer to Haines City. We'll check again on what we're looking at for the velocity in the area. You can see still some rotation, definitely some weaker rotation. So we'll watch this. This is right around Lake Hamilton, Lake Alfred. And right now it's 2:37. This is going to go until 2:45. So we'll see if this gets extended. I will put another track on this right now. So again, this is around the Lake Hamilton, Lake Alfred area, just to the southwest of Haines City and moving towards the north. This is probably going to be around I-4, I'd say within the next 15 minutes or so. So again, right now 2:38. By 2:52, it's in the Holiday Manor area. So next 10 to 15 minutes, we're looking at it's getting into the I-4 area. So if you know anyone, or if you're listening to us on the radio, you're driving on I-4, this would be passing probably somewhere between Polk City and Champions Gate, right in that window there. So I would, at this point, I would just maybe pull over and kind of wait this out before that point. If you're already driving in that area, you could probably beat it at this point. But if you're approaching that area, I'd just pull over just in case. As we see this area of rotation, which is now just to the southwest of Haines City, it's going to pass over I-4 between Polk City and Champions Gate within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll watch that as that moves off towards the north. Otherwise, we do have another spot in Polk County. We'll zoom back out here. This area off towards the south, you can see by Sebring, a little bit of rotation there, moving up towards Avon Park, and Frostproof, the southern part of Frostproof included in this tornado warning here. So we'll have to watch this as this moves towards the north. This is going to go until 3 p.m. So this is going to go another 20 minutes or so. We'll see if that gets extended as it moves into Polk County. Right now only includes the very southern portions of Polk County. And I'm going to draw a track on this one, and we can time this out when we'll see it move in. So it'll be about 20 minutes. So taking it to the end of the warning, taking it to about 3 p.m., this will be going into southern Polk County at this point, southern end of Frostproof. You're talking about 20 minutes or so from now as when we would see this area of rotation move through. So again, if you're watching from Frostproof, listening to us on the radio or something like that, get about 20 minutes or so before this moves over your area. You want to get into your safe spot. That's that lowest interior room of your house here. If you don't have, obviously no one has a basement here in Florida. If you can't really get away into an interior room or something like that, bring blankets, helmet, whatever you have, pillows or something to protect you if you have a less than ideal situation. Again, other than that, if you're just joining us now, I did mention a little bit earlier, we have a flash flood warning as well up for Pinellas County. So a lot of rain has fallen, a lot more has yet to come. We actually can put a time lapse here on the radar. So now we'll look at the motion of Milton here. You can see here, it looks like maybe that last frame we're starting to get a little bit more of an eastern movement to the system. And notice how on the north side you have all of this rain. Notice how it's set down towards Sarasota. Bradenton, they're seeing maybe a little bit of a break. I don't think we get quite that break in St. Pete as we start to see more of that eastern movement with Milton. That's kind of been or that's expected to be the trend at least as we get towards landfall tonight. And I got Chief Meteorologist Mike Clay with me now, and we've been tracking these tornado warnings. We've been Obviously keeping a close eye on surge as well. And now we get a flash flood warning in Pinellas County. So impacts, Mike, really starting to increase with Milton as it's getting closer.
Yeah, it is getting closer, and we'll look at that too here in a second, Kyle. First of all, we're going to look at these tides too, because we're getting a lot of questions about the tide levels. But first of all, we're going to look at this tornado warning in Polk County. This is south of I-4, but we have a really strong circulation here around Lake Alfred. So this is heading up towards the I-4 corridor. And so if you are traveling, listening to us on the radio, crossing along I-4 here in Polk County, there's a strong radar indication of a tornado around Lake Alfred and Auburndale. So just hang tight back to the west or back to the east towards Champions Gate, maybe pull into the rest area there and just let this go by. We just got a new tornado warning on that. So yeah, that is a strong circulation in portions of Polk County. A new tornado warning issued that goes over towards Kathleen, and it goes over up to the north through the Polk City area for that area of rotation around Lake Alfred and Auburndale. And so you want to take that very, very seriously there in Polk County. Yeah, looking at the velocities on the radar, this is a pretty strong circulation for a tropical type system, and you can see we've had big tornadoes today down to the south and off to the east, and so you can see this is coming through Lake Alfred right now. There's your rotation right in the Lake Alfred area. Take cover, head to a safe place. Auburndale, it looks like it's barely off to your east, not by much, but it is off to your east. It's right over Lake Alfred, and that's going to be heading up into the area closer to I-4 around Polk City fairly soon. So let's get in here and look a little bit closer. Lake Alfred Road, Lake Alfred here, over towards Haines City, and then this takes you over to the big lake there, Auburndale, and then back up towards, this is Adams Barn Road. This is the area where we're seeing very strong rotation. If you're in Lake Alfred, take your tornado precautions now. Move away from windows, get to the lowest floor of the building, and just ride this out. That tornado warning and a new tornado warning there over portions of Polk County. Take those very seriously. Let me look here and see if we see any sign of, that's good. I don't see, that's our radar. I don't see any sign of debris there, so that is good. We'll keep an eye out for that. But we have two tornado warnings here, a pair. This is the first, and then this is the second, and the second tornado warning was issued until 3:15, so that'll be a half hour on this one coming in across portions of central and northern Polk County. Now, the other thing we want to get to is the tides. We're getting a lot of questions about this from some of our viewers that are very, very concerned about the storm surge levels and the water rising. So we're going to first take you to Fort Myers. So this is way down to the south, but they're starting to get more of an onshore push of that storm surge, and look what's happening. They got to low tide, not quite. It went down, and now the tide's coming up quickly in Fort Myers. It's not high enough to do any damage yet. It's not up into the area of the possibility of damage. It's not even up to where it was earlier for the high tide, but it should be way down here. So there's water being pushed ashore now in the Fort Myers area. So we'll go from there to, this is Port Manatee. So now we're seeing the low tide. So the good thing is we had a really good low tide around the Bay Area. Water got pushed out. We got right down to where we should be for low tide. Now the water's starting to come up at Port Manatee, but that's still way down there at around a foot. So that's good, but it's not good that it's kind of ticked up a little bit. But sometimes that can be wave action too. We're going to go to St. Petersburg. Same story here. These are waves. We're at low tide now, so the water levels are nice and low, so we don't have any water being pushed in right now. And then this is our next high tide coming up. So the water levels will start to come up now as we head towards high tide. But again, really good that we were able to get in with Helene. We didn't get that low tide. It just stayed high. This is at Old Port Tampa. Nice. Probably a negative here. Negative surge going on here. It's way down. Water levels have not come up yet. We'll watch it very carefully. And let's go up the coast a little bit. This is Clearwater Beach. This is all wave action right in here. But you can see at Clearwater Beach we had a nice low tide there. And so we're going to come up very slowly to high tide. So we'll keep a very close eye on all of these. So the hurricane out here now. This is the center. These dots we're putting on, tracking the center. Looks like it's about right there right now. It's moving fast. So this is not going to be a 3 a.m. hurricane landfall. This is going to be this evening. It's not that far offshore. It's being picked up by the strong upper level winds. So we're getting the worst of the weather from this hurricane over the next few hours. Look at these bands of tornadic storms coming through the central part of the state. And look at this area right in here. This is going to have some high winds in it for sure. This is the old eye wall. It's being ripped apart, but the old eye wall there, and that is lifting up towards the coast right now, probably on the Sun Coast a little bit later on. This is the tornado we saw earlier over parts of central Florida. A very impressive tornado there with these cells moving in. So that's why we're taking these tornado warnings very, very seriously today. And as this hurricane comes up, can't see it there, but as the hurricane comes up, you can see it is expanding the wind field. We've had some gusts over 50 in Pinellas County, and it should continue to weaken as it moves in closer, hopefully not making landfall as a 3, but it's going to be close. Tampa Bay southward. If it comes into the south of you, you're going to have an offshore wind, and if it comes in to the north of you, you're going to have an onshore wind. But the model's saying basically the mouth of the bay down towards Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, as this comes across the state in the next few hours. It's all going to be happening pretty fast. Let's check in with some of our cameras here. We're looking in St. Petersburg, lazyboy.com camera. There's no traffic out there, folks. Brian and I came in a couple of hours ago. It was amazing. It was, there's one car, and that's about it. People are staying off the roads. Downtown Tampa, coming down rain here. The pigeons love it. This is on the camera downtown where the rain is coming in across downtown Tampa. Windy here on the St. Pete camera, that's for sure. White caps, rain coming down, cranes on the buildings. You can see how fast the clouds are moving as the hurricane approaches. Again, another hurricane approaching us and probably coming right on in. And this is Tarpon Springs where the rain is coming down here. Alt 19, fairly busy. Now, not much. Just a few cars here, the rain coming down in portions of northern Pinellas County too, where you do have that possibility of some very heavy rain going on, and Pinellas County now under a flash flood warning. Let's come back over to Polk County where this tornadic storm is about to cross I-4, and that is coming in very close to Polk City fairly soon. So the area that we're watching is around Auburndale, and that'll be in Polk City in 20 minutes. So it's going to go north of Kathleen, it looks like, north of Lake Parker, north of Lakeland. So that's some good news. Our Lakeland camera, it is windy. Look at that. Downtown Lakeland, the wind is howling, but it looks like that tornadic circulation is going to go by just to the north and cross I-4 here north of Lake Parker. It's moving at about 22 miles an hour. So let's come in here. Yep, there's the circulation around Auburndale over to Lake Alfred, coming in across portions of northern Polk County fairly soon. Kyle's also tracking all of this. Kyle, what a day. Lots of tornado warning central Florida, and big hurricane that's being sheared apart right now coming ashore.
Yeah, central to South Florida, Mike, dozens of tornado warnings so far today, and it doesn't look like there is any sign of stopping anytime soon. So right now, getting back to that tornado warning that's right there in Polk County, you can see here right around Lake Alfred, this is where we've had some of that rotation. I do want to take you back in time here. I'm going to step off on my screen a little bit. You can see here, I'm going to take you back when that second warning was issued. You can see at this point, this was at about, looks like it was about 2:50 p.m. So not too long ago, or this was not 2:50 p.m. It's 2:42 right now. So this was about 5-10 minutes ago. You can see here, definitely a sign of some stronger rotation in Lake Alfred. So this is looking in the past. I kind of made that jog more towards the west, actually. So this really took a little bit of a turn here. It looked like it was going to pass between about Champions Gate and Polk City, and now it has kind of turned a little bit more towards the west. So if you take a look at the timing here, you can see how it was moving more north-northwest, and all of a sudden it just went due west. And it looks like the last couple of frames here, this has really started to weaken. So we will watch to see if that is a trend. It looked like it went back down in intensity, came back up, and now it is starting to weaken a bit once again. So that's something that we're going to watch here as we continue to track Milton. But if you look at the big picture view here right now, still have a lot of rain out there across Pinellas County. Really, that's been the rainiest spot so far today here, Pinellas County. You can see over the last hour, we've just been dealing with torrential rain at this point. And we'll continue to see it here as Milton approaches. You can see Milton, the eye walls offshore at this point, just the southwest of Tampa Bay. This is moving towards the northeast. Heavy rain over into Polk County and over back into Hillsborough County. Kind of get that dry slot moving into Sarasota County and also Manatee County as well. Still some rain around, but it has been a little bit of a break here across parts of the area. But all these tornado warnings are back here. Generally, these are off towards central and southern Florida. So we take a look out here right now. Generally back towards the central and southern part of the state. Look at how far south these extend. Pretty much due west of Miami at this point, right in the middle of the Everglades. You can see here, it has a nice little tail to it, this outer band. And this extends up towards the central east coast of Florida. So we are going to see this threat continue to move up into Polk County and most likely into Orlando. Overall, though, the risk of tornadoes for, say, our part of the state, central west coast here, up towards the nature coast, even though we have a tornado watch, we are going to be on the slightly less favorable side for it. So really, this, I'll circle this, we'll pause this right now. Really, it is this area here, basically this part of the state is where we're going to see, obviously this is where all the tornado warnings right now are. This may kind of extend, I'd say, a little bit back up towards here eventually. So this is kind of where it's happening right now, where it's going to go. Maybe more up towards Leesburg or back off towards western parts of Polk County, maybe even into eastern Hillsborough. So really, the more inland you are, the greater your chances of seeing tornadoes. Of course, your general winds are going to be lighter when Milton comes in. And you can see right now, I'm going to zoom back in a little bit closer to this particular band here. This is what's moving into southwestern Polk County. So in this area, no particular tornado warning out by Fort Meade and to the west there, going towards Fort Lonesome. We get just a lot of heavy rain. A lot of heavy rain. We have that other tornado warning actually that technically includes parts of southern Polk County. You can see that here. I'll turn back over on velocity. There's a little bit, so I'll circle these in this area. You get our live view of Lakeland up there in the corner of the screen. You can see all that wind from this strong band that's coming through. That tornado warning, actually, we can go back up. So our camera is right here. Camera's right in this area. And there's that tornado warning, just off towards the east. And it looks like if we go back in time here, maybe 15 minutes, you can see the weakening and then that last frame maybe starting to strengthen once more. So that is something that we're going to keep a close eye on. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. This is pretty much right over Auburndale. So if we had a tornado on the ground, that we don't have confirmation of this, you can see there's the Polk Parkway right here. It's right here by the Polk Parkway. This is where it is. You see County Road 655. County Road 655 and the Polk Parkway. That's right here. This is moving generally to the northwest. This is where we have that rotation. So if we had a tornado on the ground, this is where it would be. And you can see up towards the northwest here, that is I-4. So I-4, if you're driving along the Polk Parkway, this is where we would have some rotation. And at the very least, just some very heavy rain from this strong band that's coming through. It's heading towards I-4, and it's probably going to be around the I-4 area here, yeah, I'd say in the next 5 minutes or so. So this has been moving. It's kind of been slowing down and moving northwest. So it'd be in the Fussell's Corner area around 3 o'clock. Again, right now it's 2:56, so it'll be in the next few minutes. Providence at about 3:20. That other tornado warning that's off into southern Polk, that is going to expire here in the next few minutes. It looks like maybe there is a little bit of broad rotation. I'm going to circle this for you here. Right in this area. So this is right by Frostproof. This is where we have just a little bit of broad rotation. This is moving towards the north. But compared to what it was, we can bring this back in time. You can see back here, when it was going through Avon Park, it was pretty weak, maybe tried to strengthen once more. Pretty disorganized at this point, so I'm not as concerned about this particular cell. And we'll zoom back out here. We'll check other areas too, because this particular band, pretty heavy, but I'm not seeing any embedded rotation here. We'll continue to check this one that covers southern Polk County, but we have this one in central Polk County, pretty much just due east of Lakeland. So this is getting into a more populated area. In this case, we'll put radar, I'll put the reflectivity back on. Some of the tornadoes earlier today, like the one that Mike showed you earlier over in Lake Placid, you could see it. This would not be the case where you could see it. As you can see, it is pretty much surrounded by rain at this point. And just in general, looking at the reflectivity right now, I'd be willing to bet that this would be weakening. There's not really any signal. Just looking at just the general radar look doesn't look very impressive in terms of producing a tornado. You can see how you look off, compare this one. So you can see this tornado warning here. It's kind of just in the midst of one big blob of rain. You see, though, these two warnings over here. You go back over towards the eastern part of the state. These are actual supercells at this point. This, at one point in time, this was a supercell. And actually, we can go back here. We'll bring this back like the last hour or so, and we'll be able to see what that looked like. So this was that earlier warning. So again, we're going back in time here, and you can see at this point, earlier in the warning, this is when it was issued for Haines City. You can see here, this was separated. This was a supercell.